share with me and get to know me.
Working within it so that you can trust
You got to be able to produce things. And I'll tell you why that production is so important. But before we go there, how do you use those two pieces of equipment? And
Success is not necessarily financial, but success is when you feel fulfilled in what you're doing. And then
to other women, they need to know their value, their worth.
But I believe everything that you put your mind to and you achieve, it's success.
Give us all the stuff.
Okay, I'll answer all 16 of those questions right now. I started in the music business at Sony while I was still...
And welcome to the show. My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, today's show is going to be amazing. Today we have with us Bonita Owens. Bonita is a speaker, certified life coach, author, and founder of the Amazing Women Network. Bonita works with ambitious women who struggle from the transition of being a solopreneur to CEO, and she helps her to build the team with confidence, intention, and effective communication. Y'all, put your hands together for Bonita.
I am well. How are you, Renee?
I am fantastic. It is so good to finally meet you and to have you on the show.
I am so glad to be here. Loving it already.
Awesome. Well, Bonita, I know we gave a brief overview of all the amazing things that you're doing, but why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your journey? How did you get to this particular point in time?
Yes. So it is, like most of us, a journey that a lot of twists and turns. I actually have a healthcare background. I'm an occupational therapist by trade, and I worked in school systems and the hospital with people from NICU, from babies to all the way to 99 years old, and loved what I did. I loved being able to help people be the best versions of themselves. So as a therapist, I worked in rehab, worked with babies who were premature, who had developmental, I don't want to say issues, disabilities, and work with people who had surgery. So just a gamut. But what I loved about that is that when I came to them, they were one way. And I love to be able to see progress. I love to be able to see them like, oh, wow, you were here, but now you're able to do more. And so I love what I did, but I knew that there was something more for me to do. And I went to search for that. And so I found myself what I call a mom life crisis, where I had given, everything away in terms of focusing on my husband's career. I'm a military spouse, and my kids. And I woke up one day and like, where did I go? I've always been ambitious, creative. And I'm like, where did Bonita go? And I went on a quest to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing? So I was in and out of the workforce because of moving around with my husband. Right. And so I just went on a quest to figure out, what is that thing for me? And I had a light bulb moment at one time. I tried different things. I had a light bulb moment and realized that speaking is something I've always done all of my life. And I've always been into personal and professional development for myself, always looking to see, how can I be the best version of me? And I would always share that with friends of mine who was going through tough times, and they would say, "Thank you so much for sharing this with me. You know, you really blessed me." So I realized, whoa, speaking in and inspiring people has always been something that I've done. Never thought about getting paid to do it. And encouraging and mentoring individuals is also something I've always done. So that's how I got into what I'm doing now. I realize that it's truly who I naturally am, my God given gifts, and I follow that path.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Because when you stay true to yourself and what your actual calling is, your purpose, and you're walking up with your purpose, there's nothing more fulfilling than that. Like I completely get that. Completely. Why do you focus primarily on women?
I focus on women because I'm really passionate about helping women from my own story. I have a lot of people that ask me that. Men ask me, why do you just focus on women? Doesn't everyone benefit from personal and professional development? And the answer is yes, they do. But what I have discovered through my own story and talking to other women, that there are things because of our society, because the way most women were brought up, that there are things that we struggle with more so than men. And so I am just really passionate about supporting women out of my own story and my own journey so they can embark on a journey of their own.
Right. That is so good. And I can relate to that so well. And I just had a situation in my own life just recently as the CEO of my business. And I got an email from someone, a new client, brand new client. And they sent this message that to me was very harsh. And when I read it to my husband, he said, "Okay, so where's the harsh part?" I was like, "Well, she said it like this, and he kind of just gave me this look like, okay. So we definitely, as women, operate differently. We see things differently. We take things differently. We feel things differently. It's just different than the way men do. It's like, look, men are all about the facts, matter of facts, and that's just how they operate. But as women, we get all in our feelings, I think, a whole lot more than men do. And so there is a very definitive differentiator, between how men operate and how women operate. And so I appreciate that you take all of that into consideration as you're focusing on trying to help women through this transition.
Yeah, yeah. I think there are certain things that a lot of people don't even talk about. We're starting to, in terms of how women show up, and you know what? I don't even think that it's anything wrong with us being emotional creatures. I just think that there are things that we bring to the table. We need to know how to manage that, right? And I think that there's things we can learn from men in the workplace, and there's definitely things that men can learn from us as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us more about that. What is SCALE and what does it mean? Is it an acrostic?
Yeah, so SCALE stands for the SCALE is the 5 components that I really truly believe that go into impactful leadership. It's 5 foundational components that I look at and that I teach so that leaders can really show up as impactful, influencing, having empathy, and they can really make a difference with the people that they work with. So SCALE stands for self-awareness, courageous conversations, accountability, leadership guiding principles, and energy management. Everything I do starts with self-awareness because I believe that the more you understand about yourself, the more you understand about other people, and the more you can be truly an instrument and a tool in your workplace. If you don't understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your hangups, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, what makes you frustrated, all of the things that make you you, then you will be missing out on how can you show up in a way that serves the people that you work with, serves your peers, serves your team members. So self-awareness is really important in everything I do, whether it's training or one-on-one coaching. And the other components, and they don't go in order, even though the S is the first for a reason, because it is the foundation. But all the other components are different things that I see when I'm coaching that leaders really need to be impactful. So, for instance, courageous conversations. I see so many leaders, they have a hard time with giving feedback unless they're saying, you did a great job. And, or they have a hard time addressing uncomfortable conversations or situations. And so it's really important for people to have those skill sets to say the things that no one wants to say the hard things. But how do you say that in a way where you're not burning bridges? That's another thing people are afraid of. Like, okay, I don't mind saying stuff, but I don't want to make people mad, or I don't want to burn bridges. So how do you be authentic and honest and still build relationships? So everything I do is around how do you connect with your team members, with your peers in the workplace environment, so that we have a workplace environment that's not one that we want to get away from on Friday and dread on Monday, but it is one that we look forward to going to. So I believe that work shouldn't be a place that you dread. I think it's an integral part of our lives, and it should be a place that fuels you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And before we get too far down the road, I love that you start with as being self-awareness. And I'm just wondering, because I know that it's one thing to be self-aware of for our own self, how things are resonating with us and how things are impacting us. But do you think it's just as important to have self-awareness as it relates to other people, and how what we're saying to them might be impacting them? So, is there a relationship between other people's self-awareness and our awareness of other people?
Right. So that's what I was saying, that the more we understand about ourselves, it helps us to understand more about other people. And so self-awareness, because the word, it is really about self, right? It's about being aware of you. However, the more you understand about you, those are the same relationships and connections and understandings that you can definitely apply to other people. So that is one of the foundations of the benefits of self-awareness. I'll give you an example that I use a lot. Self-compassion. I had to learn this. Negative self-talk, right? A lot of times we're hard on ourselves. Now, mostly a lot of us are hard on ourselves and we are on other people. But what I learned is, when I learned self-compassion, when I learned to encourage myself instead of criticizing myself, it really helped me to extend that same compassion and to other people. And that is how it translates.
Got you. That's so good. So good. I love that. And then you talked about courageous conversations, and not burning bridges while you're having these difficult conversations. And I think that is so key and critical as well. I just had to have one this morning with my team. I'm like, you guys, we're supposed to be doing this, that, and the other. How come we're not meeting our goals? And what can we do differently? Come on, let's, trying to like encourage them. Like, look, I know you put in a lot of work, but we need more. We need more. So yeah, it's definitely an art to be able to have those kind of conversations and still have people enjoy doing what they're doing.
Exactly. Or the reverse is true. What I see more often is that leaders don't say anything, right? And so then resentment builds, frustration builds, and then a lot of things go unchecked because you didn't say anything. And then when you do say something, it's like, well, wait, why didn't you tell me this 6 months ago? Right?
Right.
You did give the person time to adjust and to respond to your feedback. So yes, I see both sides of the coin, and it is an art. You're so right. And it doesn't come naturally to many people, but it's definitely something that can be practiced and acquired.
Yes, absolutely. And that's just not fair to wait to let things build up and get, so much bigger than they have to be. Because if you nip it in the bud, then it doesn't get big, right? So you gotta nip it. I don't know if you remember that show. Was it I don't know if it was Gomer Pyle or the Andrew Griffith show, but one of those guys said, nip it, nip it, nip it.
Yes,
I'm showing my age, y'all.
I too, because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, that is it's so true, though. So true. And it's just, I think, words to live by. Just as soon as something is an issue, as soon as you recognize something, immediately address it so it doesn't get big. So that, and even if it is a scary thing to do, just feel the fear and do it anyway. I think Joyce Meyer said that.
So many people just don't have the words, right? They don't have the words. Either they are, sometimes feel like they're super aggressive or super passive, right? And so navigating the words, there's a way to say anything and everything. And it's important to learn that. So yeah, it's so true. And I love doing it. I love helping people to navigate those sticky situations.
Awesome. We're so grateful to you for that. Absolutely. So, when it comes, what challenges do ambitious women face when transitioning from being solopreneurs to CEO?
Well, one of the things that has to do with courageous conversations is really understanding their role as a leader, right? So when you're a solopreneur, it's all on you. There's a lot of work. You're focusing on you wearing all the hats. And when you become a CEO, you stop wearing all of the hats. And there's other challenges that come with it. Although it's like, yes, I build a team, I have people doing the things that I used to do. And one of the challenges really is transitioning from that doer, right? That person that's in the weeds to being the planner, being the strategic planner. Like it's time for you now to delegate. So I see a lot of solopreneurs turned CEOs having a hard time relinquishing responsibility and entrusting their team to do what they have hired them to do. So that's one of the biggest things that I see. And having that ongoing communication, understanding that it's all in your head. Your business that you were building by yourself is all in your head. If you're not creating policies and procedures, if you're not putting things on paper, you can't expect people to crawl in your brain and figure out what you want. You have to really be able to put it down on paper to explain, give feedback so that people start to understand your brand, how you do things, and how they can best support you. So, relinquishing responsibility and trusting people and communication, clear communication, I would say are the two biggest challenges.
Wow. Wow. I can definitely relate to every single thing you're talking about. Every single thing. As I was building my business, that was definitely my situation. And I could, from being the doer to being the planner after bringing on a team and learning to delegate and, even in the business that we're in, which is we provide virtual administrative support to small businesses and senior level executives and podcast show hosts. And one of the foundations of what we do is relieve executives of all of the things that's weighing them down, but they have to delegate in order for us to have a job. And then I found myself when I was in that position that I had to be the one to do the thing I was telling other people to do. And it was quite an interesting transition for me as well. So I can totally relate to what you're talking about. But Bonita, I don't want to get too far off from the acrostic for SCALE. So you told us about self-awareness and courageous conversations. I'd like to go back to the rest of it, ALE. What's the rest of it?
Accountability. So this is about how are you accountable to yourself, to your team, and how are you allowing yourself to be accountable to them and them to be accountable to you. I think one of the things that we usually talk about a lot is how to hold your team accountable. But I really believe that as a leader, that it's impactful to allow yourself to be held accountable to your team, meaning that you're open to feedback. So many leaders are like, oh, they don't want to hear feedback, and they give it, but they don't want to receive it. So I think accountability is so important for reciprocity in relationships and
Yeah.
leadership.
No, I was just going to say that's so true. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, I think about how myself as a leader, and one of the things I say in our team meetings is, y'all, how can we be better? How can I be better as a leader over this business that we're all trying to grow? It wouldn't be here without you. So that I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, yeah. And it really helps. I think one of the things that people don't think about is that once you allow your team to give you feedback, you're training them for their own leadership, right? And so if we're always in a situation where we're receiving feedback and we're not learning to give that, that definitely does not go into establishing your team, because you want your team to be leaders too in their own right. You don't want a bunch of people, who are not independent thinkers, who are not creative, who are not innovative. And so these are the things that as a leader that you work on, you exemplify and you instill in your team. So it's really important.
I love it. Love it. 100%. Yes. Yeah, that's fantastic. So good. Because we don't, like you said, we don't want a team of just doers, people who just
Yes.
do. You want
Yes.
some thinkers, people who can lead and take the ropes and just run,
Yeah.
because they have the confidence that they need by being able to give feedback and know that the feedback is going to land in a place that's well received.
Exactly.
I think that's super important too.
Exactly. And it helps build those relationships, right? It helps
Yeah.
build trust. So a lot of things I didn't say before, a lot of things that I do is based on Brene Brown's work. I love Brene Brown. I'm a big proponent of vulnerability. Courageous conversations is where I get that from Brene Brown, because I really believe that we're people, right? And my motto is life is work, work is life. And if we try to separate people as if they're two different people, we miss out on a lot. So the things for my coaching and working with people, what I've discovered is a lot of the challenges you have at work, they show up in some capacity in your personal life and vice versa. And so it's really about helping and addressing the whole person so that you can show up in that whole person capacity at work. So a lot of what I do really is about building trust, building relationships, setting a foundation and an atmosphere and a culture where people feel connected, they feel heard, they feel seen. And that's how you create that inviting workplace environment.
And I think that's what people are looking for. They're looking for an inviting workplace environment. And it's so awesome that you teach people how to create that. And, for women, and from the perspective of being a female, being the boss, what that can look like and the different nuances associated with it. So that's fantastic. So accountability is the A, and
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
And so L is leadership guiding principles. And so with that's an individual choice. What is your beacon, right? What is your lighthouse? Where do you stand for? What are those things, those guiding principles that are connect with your values, what you believe in, what your mission is? And I think it's important for us to remind ourselves of that, right? What is your North Star? So that you're making decisions based on that. So many people take values assessments, and I was guilty of this. And you take the values assessment, you're like, oh, that's nice, and you put it in the drawer in the folder. And it's important for us to remind ourselves of what our values are, because we start to make choices based on our values and not based on external expectations or what somebody else is doing or what another company is doing, right? But what is our values? What is my values personally as a leader? And what are our company values? And what are ways that we can implement that? What are we doing now? What are we doing well now? How are we showing forth and implementing and exemplifying those values? And where are the gaps? How can we close the gap in areas that we aren't quite doing that? And so I think that's really important to keep everybody focused and on track and true to the leaders and the organization's brand and who they want to be in the world.
Right. Agreed. 100%. And those leadership guiding values not only help you know what decisions to make, but also when you're getting distracted from
Yes.
things that are not important to the business or things that are going to take you away from your main purpose or your main goals or your main things.
Exactly. Exactly. It keeps you from keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak.
Because you're setting your own course.
Yes.
Your leadership guiding values are the things that are important to you. So the
Yes.
things that are important to you are not for everybody else. What did I say? Yesterday, someone said, when someone is walking in their purpose, it's their purpose, or something that when God calls you to doing something that's you and your purpose, it wasn't a conference call. So it doesn't matter what other people think. This was for you.
Yes.
I totally butchered whatever that said, but anyways, it was
I know
really good.
exactly what you're talking about.
But it was good, and I was like, yes, that's so true. So what is for you is for you, and then you want to build your team around the things that are important to you with people who can buy in
Yes.
to the same mindset and philosophy and culture.
Yeah.
And so that your company is exactly what you want it to be and filled with the people who want to do those things and not being made to do something, but it's a part of them as well.
Exactly. Exactly. I think it's
Love
really important with those things, again, the building trust and the communication. Like you said, it helps create buy-in. It helps your team connect with the organization and the mission, right? So it becomes part of theirs too, not just something they're told to do. And that really makes up an organization where where people are progressing and they're excited and passionate about work. And again, I think we are embarking on a time where people don't want to just check a box, get a check, and go home. They want to feel that they are part of something. They want to feel invigorated by their work, and they want to feel like they're making a difference in some way.
Yes, absolutely. That is so good. We're like right here. We're just seeing eye to eye on all of this. I just love this. These are such great reminders. I'm so thankful just that these are just speaking life into me right now. All
Love it.
right. And what's the E?
Energy management. And so this is so important, especially for women. We are used to wearing all the hats and juggling all the things. And we tell ourselves we can do it all. And we can at a cost, at a price. And so it's really about managing your energy again. And this is inner work as well. Looking at what are the things that fuel me? What are the things that drain me? How do I show up under stress? So part of this is kind of a two-part. It's being aware of your energy, where you're spending your energy, where you don't need to be spending your energy anymore, how you're setting those boundaries. And I do have an energy leadership index assessment. And what that does is it looks at where our baseline is energetically, meaning, and energetically it means what of our is connected to our thoughts and our feelings and our actions. So I'll give you an example. There's 7 levels of energy. There's no good or bad, but it's about what are the thoughts and feelings that drain you and what are those that fuel you. And when we're fueled, we can be creative. and we can be calm and collective in our decision making. When we are drained, we are stressed, we're fearful, we're doubtful, and it doesn't help us in our decision making. So what we look at is, where's your baseline? Are you a person that normally is about looking for opportunity, creating win-win scenarios? Are you a person that just really wants to focus on opportunities for other people? Or under stress, so that's your base. We look at your baseline. There's different ones.
Right.
And then the stress reaction can be, maybe you're an avoider. Maybe you respond in anger. Maybe you respond by not responding. And so we look at, how do you show up under stress? And so knowing that helps you to be aware. Okay, under stress, I will avoid, I will shut down. How does that support me, and how does that affect me, and what are the ways that I can begin to lean into that, shift my perspective, so that I'm not shutting down, I'm not avoiding situations, but I'm dealing with those head on. And so that's part of the energy management that we do, and it really helps, again, to show up the way you want to show up, and versus what your default is under stress.
Got it. Awesome. That is so great. And I love the fact that you talk about how energy management is not only what fuels you, but also what drains you. And
Yeah.
that's part, I think, ties in really well to that self-awareness, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because you have to know what's working for you, what is not working for you, and keep doing the things that are working,
Yes.
and try to avoid maybe as much those things that drain you.
Yeah. Avoid them as much as you can. And there's definitely things that are required of us sometimes, that we're like, we may not be able to get around. And there's things that we can. I think it's so important, and even in organizations, to figure out amongst the team. There are certain things that certain people love spreadsheets. They just get up in the morning and eat it for breakfast. Certain
Right.
people like me, get it away from me, right? And so why not look at, okay, what are the things that I can't stand doing that someone else can do on the team, and vice versa, right? And so I think, again, having that self-awareness, having that open communication can really help people to do the things that work, that they love doing, and not do the things that they don't. And even for the leader as well, understand that there are, what's your zone of genius, and how, and how can you work more in that than the things that you don't want to be doing, and maybe some things you don't really need to be doing.
Right, exactly. I love the way you put that, because it's important, like even, in our business, in our virtual assistant service, that those things that are not adding value to your life or to your business are the things that you should be delegating to someone else to do.
For sure.
Because yeah, it just is so important as you're weighing, where is my energy going? And even in terms of like, what is your best time of day? You
Yes.
know, are you a morning person? Do you get most energy in the morning? Are you an evening person? Do you get more fuel in the evening? Those things are all so important to know and be aware of, to know when you are at your best and
For
what's taking you away from being your best.
Yes, for sure. For sure. That's definitely an important component. And it's counterintuitive to most of us, especially if you used to working a job. You clock in and clock out when they tell you. So it doesn't matter what time you're at your best. They expect you to do it when you're supposed to do it, right?
Right,
And
you just show up.
you just
You do it regardless of how you're feeling.
And so having that mindset when we're in business, and it's a transition. If you come from corporate into business, it's a transition to give yourself permission to do the things when you're most energetic, that may be a little tedious, and not do those things at the end of the day, and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm dragging. Okay, well, just switch it, do something different. You have the flexibility to do that. when you own your own business.
Absolutely. And I love that part. So, Bonita, how can women in male dominated industries build and maintain confidence for leadership?
One of the things that is really important is mentorship and allyship, and connecting with other women and men. I firmly believe in allyship, meaning that women can't be the only ones talking about women's issues all the time and not encouraging men to be in the room, to be in the conversation, to understand. It's one of those things where if you're not in it, you may not connect with it. How can we really begin to educate, bring men in the conversation, even if they're eavesdropping, to start understanding the things that we go through that they probably never even thought about? And getting that mentorship and the connections with other women, I think is really important for us not to be islands into ourselves. Even if it's someone, I think sometimes people think, I don't know if I can, trust people in my own company. Okay, find someone outside that you can connect with. I think that's really important for women to be talking to each other and encouraging each other. And the third thing is for women to really go on a path for their own sense of self, their own sense of self and self-worth, and understanding that their voice matters. What I found with women is that we always feel like we don't know enough, we don't have enough experience, we don't have enough of anything we need. And men don't do that. Men tend to say what they think or say something. For men, it's like, I'm going to say something, even if it's not quite right. But if I say it with confidence, people are going to believe it. And people do. People do believe it.
That is so true. That is so true. I mean, because you can say anything with authority and it sounds like facts. Right?
They're sitting and they're like, I don't know, I'm scared. Somebody, and it's like, hey, really trust yourself. Women, trust yourself more, put yourself out there, be willing to take the risk and understand that you do know enough. You wouldn't believe how many women I coach, Renee, that says, well, I'm afraid that someone may ask me a question that I don't know. And, my mentor has all this knowledge, and I just don't know enough. And I ask, okay, so how long has your mentor been doing what they've been doing? Oh, 30 years. Okay, how long have you been doing it? 3. Okay, what's wrong with this picture?
Right? Yes, with time comes wisdom and knowledge. And so, yes, that's why they have that.
We expect so much of ourselves. We put so much undue pressure on ourselves, and it's not necessary. So it's really about us having that sense of self-worth, self-confidence, and it's a process. It's a journey, right? People like me can help. There are books that you can read that can help, right? There are mentors, women, other women that you can get with to help you build that confidence in yourself, and knowing that no one's expecting you to have 30 years experience in 3 years. It's a process, and what you have is enough right now.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that so much. And even how we approach the answer to the question. So I just recently was on a Zoom call and someone asked someone else a question. And they just kind of went, well, so what I think is, and so I was like, I just wanted to shake her. And I was like, stop that. Look in the camera and answer the question. Exactly. You know this. Exactly. So don't, like you said, don't discount what you know. Yes. Because what you know is more than what the other person knows, or they wouldn't be asking the question.
Exactly.
Right. So they need you. What you have to offer is a gift, because it's the gift of your knowledge, your experience that they are looking for. So give it to them.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, anyways, I definitely understand what you're
That's
talking
the thing that we do, right? Again, it's learning to be, how can you be solid in yourself, right? And I think as women, I think it's part nurture, nature nurture, that we're always looking for external validation. I'm
Mhm.
not good enough until someone, labels me as good enough. I'm not knowledgeable until someone deems me as knowledgeable. And it really is got to come from within in the way
Yeah.
you show up. And then people will deem you as knowledgeable because that's the way you show up already, not the other way around. And it is a process.
Yes, agree. 100%. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. So, Bonita, tell us about any books or resources because you talked about as part of building confidence,
Mhm.
getting allies, um, getting people on your team, talking to other more mature women and men who've already been down the road that you're trying to go. What are some books or resources that you have that you would recommend for someone who wants to build their confidence and leadership skills?
Well, I will say a lot of I'll have to plug Brene Brown. Okay, I've got to, because she really has a lot of resources around, again, inside out leadership. So gifts, and it's an oldie but a goodie. Gifts of Imperfection and Dare to Lead are really two really great books around vulnerability, around leadership, around courage. So I love that. And one of the books by for women, it's not in leadership per se, but in about just showing up as your whole self. Um, it's You Are a Badass. Sorry for the
Mhm.
word, but that's the title, by Jen Sincera. That's a
Uh-huh.
really good book as
Mhm.
well. That really helps women to say, listen, you are enough. You are enough. You have everything that you need to do what it is that you are called to do. So, and I have my book, Who Stole My Significance?
Oh, yeah, tell us more about that.
It's about the journey, my own journey of self-awareness, self-discovery. Um, and in the book, my stories and my everything I learned, I want the reader to take that and implement it for himself. So at the end of each chapter, there is a journal prompt, because all my clients, journaling is one of the foundational things that we do. There's an action step, and there's a meditation, affirmation. And so one of my most popular talks from the chapter is called The Power of No. And it's really about helping women to create boundaries in their lives, to say no more to the things that don't fuel them, that don't align with their goals and where they want to be, so they can say yes to themselves more and yes to the things that they really are supposed to be doing and they're called to do.
I love it. I love it. And we're showing the book on Amazon right now. The link here is in the video here and showing it that at bit.ly/Bonita's book is the short code to get to it. So, Who Stole My Significance? I think it is fantastic. And you have so much experience and so much to offer to helping. And I love the part about saying no more. And it's okay to say no. No is a complete sentence. And it's okay. And so we love that. So how can we reach you? I know that you have this Amazing Women Network. Tell us more about that.
So Amazing Women Network is really my women's empowerment side of my company. So AWN Leadership Consulting is the side where I'm working with corporations and organizations and executive coaching. Amazing Women's Network is I'm working with women, professional women, usually a lot out of those organizations, to help them with work-life balance, setting those boundaries, showing up strongly as the leaders that they want to be, so that they can really, reach their goals and have a fulfilling life. And so I'm of the camp that we don't need to choose one or over the other, that we can do both. There's no such thing as balance, as everything is equal, but as long as we able to just pull back and make sure we stay grounded in what's really important and taking care of ourselves, then I believe that we can be successful and be self-sustaining at the same time.
Right, exactly. So it starts with taking care of yourself, and what it sounds like. It starts with taking care of yourself.
Yes,
And when you take care of yourself, everything else takes care of itself.
it
And
does. It does.
yeah,
I always tell women that, you think you're doing everyone a service by putting yourself last and putting everyone first, but you're not, because you're not taking care of yourself. You aren't giving those people the best version of yourself. You're giving the tired version, the irritated version, the exhausted version. You're not giving them the best version. And so, yes, put your oxygen mask on first, take care of yourself first, so that you can show up to be the best version of yourself for everyone else.
absolutely. I love that. And no, we're getting ready to wrap up. How can we reach you if this is resonating with anyone in our audience and they want to continue this conversation with you directly? How do people reach you?
I am definitely on LinkedIn under Bonita Owens. You can, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, or you can go to amazingwomennetwork.com.
Excellent. Excellent. So anything else that you would like to share with our audience before we depart? Any specific tips or tricks until we meet again?
Oh, that's good. I'm going to just kind of reiterate something that we talked about earlier. I really want women to know, if you're listening, you are a CEO, you are whatever you do, a leader in your industry. I just want you to know that you are enough. You have everything you need to do any and everything that you desire. And if it's in you, it means that it's for you and you have the ability to do it. So don't put it off. Don't second guess yourself. Reach out and get the resources and the support you need, and just go for it and show up as a powerful woman that you already are.
I love that. Well, Bonita Owens, you were made for something great. So go and be awesome.